welcome to the Bicycle Diaries. It's been a couple of weeks now since I finished the 30-day challenge, and I've also been away out of the country, so this is really the first opportunity I've had since all of that to get back to what I would call some sort of normal cycling. Now, the first thing that I did was went out on my trek. If you were watching the last of the 30-day cycling vlogs, I tried to do the Ednas Lane route in under an hour, but I concluded that one of the reasons why I was unable to do it was because I was actually riding the Cannondale, and I've got a suspicion that the Cannondale is a slightly slower bike than the Trek. So to put this to the test, I took the Trek out, and lo and behold, it was faster. It wasn't just a little bit faster, it was considerably faster than the Cannondale. Now, I rode up the Ednas Lane segment and I was out to try and get a PR, and lo and behold, I did indeed achieve that. It wasn't a massive winning margin, but I managed to achieve the PR by 3 seconds. And then when I got to the top, I had a little bit of a breather for about 40 seconds, and then I pushed on up and down Mill Lane, and then down into Hambledon, up Ant Hill, back through Denmead, and then home again. And although the wind was against me, and although there were also various things like traffic lights and roadworks that I had to stop for, I managed to get home and do the 25-kilometre route within the hour, so I was really pleased with that. And when I looked at Strava, the actual moving time was only about 57 minutes, so with all the delays and with all the stops and everything, I was still way under the hour for the Ednas Lane route, so I was really pleased with that. Now, I don't actually know if that's because I'm fitter after doing the 30 days of cycling, or a bit lighter, or a combination of the two, but the cycling at the moment certainly does seem to be on a bit of a high. Here I am a couple of days further on, and the cycling is still on a bit of a high. On Thursday, I went over to a place called Cheddar, which is about a 2.5 hour drive away, to cross off one of my long-standing cycling bucket list items. The thing that makes Cheddar famous is not the cheese, although it is the place where the cheese does indeed come from. It's actually the Limestone Gorge, which is the largest one in the UK. Now, I've always wanted to ride up the gorge. It's quite a long, quite tough little climb. It's, according to Strava, it's 2.1 kilometres with an average gradient of 6.4%. Now, I've done climbs like that a lot longer than that, actually, out in Mallorca, with average gradients of about 7-8%. So on paper, Cheddar Gorge doesn't seem all that difficult, but the reality is that it really is quite a toughie. Although the average gradient is only 6.4%, there are rather steeper sections along the way. There's one particular corner which is actually 17%. Now, I was riding my Trek at the time, and that's got a compact chain set, and even so, it took everything I had to get around it. I was riding as wide as I possibly could. I was standing up on the pedals, and it was a real effort. But nonetheless, I managed to get around it, and the good news is that once you've cleared that particularly steep bend, the road does level out a little bit, and it probably goes down to about 5%. I was so on the rivet that I couldn't really look down at my computer and see speeds or gradients or anything. I was just very focused on getting myself to the top of the climb. The reason Cheddar Gorge is on my bucket list is simply because it's just stunning scenery. There are massive limestone cliffs, and where I live we just don't have anything like that, and here in the UK it's quite iconic. You know, it's an absolutely amazing place to see, and it was just absolutely incredible cycling up and down the gorge and I didn't just do it the once. The first ascent I did was really tough, and once I got to the top, I thought to myself, right, I'm not going to let this beat me. I'm going to ride straight back down and come straight back up again. And actually the second ascent was slightly easier than the first ascent, and that could possibly have been down to the fact that I was warmed up a bit more, and plus I had a better idea of what was ahead of me. And as a curious little footnote, when I got back to the hotel and looked on Strava, the elevation profile was, let's just say, a little bit artistic. So I'll just leave it at that. All in all, my ride up Cheddar Gorge was absolutely amazing and pretty much everything that I expected it to be. Okay, it was slightly harder and steeper than I'd first anticipated, but nevertheless it was still an incredible ride. So this leaves just one more item for me to cross off my cycling bucket list, and that's crossing an international border on my bike, which I will do one day, but that's another challenge for another day. Thanks for watching.